Alright, hello everybody and welcome back to another Trying to Fix video. Now please note this is not a tutorial video. This is an item that I have that I know that there's a problem with. I don't know what that problem is, nor how to fix it, nor whether I'm going to be able to fix it or not. This is me trying to figure out a problem with an item and see if we can get it fixed, hence trying to fix. So please do not take this as a tutorial. What I have here today is a Chefman Air Fryer that somebody was giving it away free because they said it didn't work anymore. They said the light comes on and turns right off. So that's all the information I have on this thing. So let's see exactly what it does. So got my plug it in, and nothing yet. I don't know if it has buttons. There's basket. I don't see any buttons or anything that you're supposed to push. So I'm not 100% certain how to even test this thing from the perspective of knowing if there's a button issue, knowing if there's a power issue, if there's a cord issue. Oh, no, I don't know if you saw that. Something just flashed on the screen there. Okay. So it looks like something is flashing on the screen when I'm engaging the basket. I think there might be a glare here. Let me see if I can. There, turn the lights off just so I can prove that, so I can make sure you guys can see that. So I don't know if you saw that just flash. Yeah, it looks like it's coming through on the camera now. So apparently when I remove and insert the basket, beep that time, the light may or may not come on. That would make me think that either this thing has some type of internal short, or that there's some type of sensor within here that knows when the basket is put in order to make this thing work. Though I find it interesting that you couldn't like set things on the screen when the basket's not in there. So, All right, lights back on so I can work. So I've never seen this product work before, so I don't know what normal functioning of it is. To know if the light's supposed to stay on or not, I could probably go watch a YouTube video or something like that and somebody reviewing one of these and see. But let's just go with what we have for now and see if we can. Anything in there. Nice view of the insides. So one thing I am noticing right away, I don't know if you can see that well or not. My arm's in the way. There is a metal piece back here that looks like it might be some type of contact mechanism. Other than that, it looks like a pretty simple device. I mean, it's an air fryer. It's just air. There's probably a fan up there somewhere to circulate. A heating coil. Air goes through and out a vent in the back that you can probably see right there. I'm assuming that's the whole inner workings of these. It looks like there's a catch here. So I don't know if that means the top can easily come out. Oh, there's some catches here as well. I don't know if those are sensors. These are on push pins, so that might just be to snap the basket in, but they also could be connected to sensors on the back side. This one that I was pointing out doesn't do anything. It doesn't move. It's just a random piece of metal sticking down. Oh, you know what that probably is? I bet you this random piece of metal back here is the thermistor. So it says what the internal temperature of this machine is. So I bet that is not what our problem is, if I'm correct in that assumption. So that probably has nothing to do with what's going on here. So let me see. What would make this thing... Let's look at the basket for a minute. Oops, inner pan fell out. This is the basket. So this is all metal. So if that back one that I think is now is the thermistor is something to indicate that the basket is in, it would probably have a contact plate about over here where it would make contact with this. And I don't see anything special on this bowl. So unless it just gently rests on the edge of that, I am now much more confident it's a thermistor in there. This, however, these are metal prongs that are holding this thing in. They're metal, but they are push pin. And this is metal. So I'm wondering if it's as simple as... Yeah, it's not plastic. I'm wondering if it's as simple as, do they have to make a connection? Let's see. No. I'm bridging them with something that's metal to see if that does anything to turn this on. Maybe they also have to push up. No, that does not appear to be it either. Why does it do it when they... Trying to see if there's a sweet spot maybe that it... Ooh, sweet spot. Okay, machine turned on. It is running. I don't want it to get hot. Stop. Okay, so I can... Okay, so the control panel and things like that seem to work fine on this thing. I'm holding this very still in just this position. Let's see. Yeah, I could let it go. Technically run it. I don't really want to run it right now, but makes my lights flash on and off because it's on a circuit that's probably not meant to have an air fryer on it. How gently? Just the slightest. So what's the force feel like here? It clearly is a sensor about the basket. It wasn't as easy as bridging these pins together. Let's take a look inside this thing and see if there is any other something to note. Maybe is there some sensor on the bottom? Okay, there's a groove. Here we go. There's a groove right here, or not a groove, excuse me, a push piece right here, and there's a corresponding groove right here that it would slide into. Look at that. Okay, I think this is going to be one of the easiest fixes I've ever done, because is there just food down there? Is it just not working? Okay, so all it is this piece right down here. Let's see if we can zoom in and show you. I don't know how well that's coming across on camera. This piece right here, you just gotta push it down. Now the question is, why isn't it doing what it's supposed to do just with the basket? So let's try to suss that out. It doesn't look broken or damaged or anything. It appears to be in normal functioning range. It doesn't look dirty. Oh, interesting. Hold on. So, I don't know if you noticed that. If I push it down all the way, oh, it kind of worked. No, I thought when I pushed it down all the way, it didn't come on. It's a little finicky. It's definitely finicky. So I wonder if maybe there's a shorted wire or a loose wire connection down in here, and I wonder how easy this thing is going to be to open up. But you know what? Let's unplug it now that we know exactly where the fault lies, and see if this thing is able to come apart easily. But I don't see. That could be screws under these pads. Hold on, let me. That's a shame to have to take these pads off if because they never go back on right, and I don't want to then have it sliding all over my counter. So let me pull one of them and see if there's a screw underneath. There are screws underneath these. Oh, these actually aren't sticky ones either, so that's actually really nice. They are square pegged, so they will easily be able to go back in. Let me get these out. And my bet is, will this bottom plate come off? I don't see any separations in the internal housing until you get up to this higher level of it here. It doesn't seem like the bottom plate or anything will remove, but this whole inner mechanism might have to come out to expose what's down here. So let's find out. Are they standard? Looks like standard Phillips. I actually can't see, they're a little recessed. Yeah, standard Phillips. And yes, it is unplugged. Come on. 4 screws to go with that. Now there was another screw up in the front, like I said, but I have a feeling that that holds like the sensor on. But honestly, that does look like it's going to prevent it from coming off the rest of the way. There's also 2 screws back here on the cord, but it looks like it's a separate piece, so I'm hoping I don't have to take that apart. You know, the inner piece seems much more solid than the outer piece does. I mean, it's just, you know, that's what gets hot when you cook. I'm wondering if it's meant for to work on an appliance like this, or when they put them together, not just that they want you working on them, that the outer shell is supposed to come off versus the inner part coming out. So therefore, I think I have to remove this as well. That seems to be a different screw, which concerns me that I don't want to take that apart. Oh, it is. It's a triangle head. And the main reason I don't want to take that apart is I'm wondering if that's holding like the switch down or the sensor down. Well, it has to do with power. So it looks like there's triangle ones here, here, and here. So 2 on the power cord and 1 down here. I'm betting those all are correlating to this has to do with power. So let's see if I have the right bit for this. I should. So I'm going to start with the back. Let's get the cord piece out of the way. Yeah, and that's just a panel that lifts off. Okay, so that just lifts off the panel and exposes the wires. There's 2 more screws here, but they're just tension screws to hold that in place to make sure it doesn't come off. So I don't think those go into the, I don't think they hold down the body at all. I want to start loosening this up before I pull this screw out, though, if possible, because it appears that I need to remove this whole, like, shroud. Oh, you know what? It is loose. It is loose, and seemingly that is holding it on, so I just don't want to hear a switch, like, fall in there, and I'll never be able to put it back where it goes. Okay. And that is the same as the other 2 I just removed. So now let's see. Oh yeah, here we go. Here we go. There we go. That's what I wanted to see. What's connected to where, though? So there's definitely power coming into this. Okay, so yeah, this is just a switch. Note both red wires are going to the switch because that's turns on and off the power circuit. So is the switch what's faulty, or is it just dirty? But here you can see a better view of how it works now. It's switch, the 2 red wires interrupt the power flow. I'm sure when you press this, it's just supposed to, you know, make the connection between the 2. So is the switch going bad, or is there's just dirt in there? Because there's some like old fried food in here from the previous owner. Let me go grab my multimeter and I'm gonna start testing the switch. All right, got my multimeter here. Got it set to continuity mode so I can check this switch. And let's see, one on one red side, one on the other red side. There's power. What is? Oh, this might be a. Oh, it's a kill switch. Hold on. I'm not understanding that at all. Wait, there we go. Now it's not doing anything. I'll be honest, I don't understand why just connecting between the 2 is... I'm not pressing the button. I was thinking maybe it was a kill switch, but pressing the button just kind of makes it... It like stops it for a second, and then it just... No, now it's just... No matter what I do to this switch, I don't know if you can see it. Huh. I will say that I had faulty tip sensor and a patio heater. You can find that video somewhere else on the channel. That I was also a little confused with the same type of behavior when I was trying to troubleshoot it, that across the tip sensor, even the new one, when you touched the two together, no matter what orientation it was in, it still had power going through it, or a connection going through it. And I mean, maybe it's that I don't know. I don't have an explanation for why it would work that way. Maybe somebody in the comments can let me know. I'm going to remove this, actually. Yes, we're still unplugged, by the way. Well. Okay. Easy enough to remove the switch itself. I don't know if I was having problems getting these terminals removed. I was thinking that it would help to have access to the switch, but man, they're on there tight. And I did not bring up a pair of pliers because I wasn't thinking I'd need them for something like this. I just want to separate the switch. Yeah, so I can't see any reason. So the way that this works is, you can see coming in from the power cord, there's a red and a black wire in here. The black wire, or the red and the blue wire. Yeah, red and blue wire. The blue wire goes down straight into the machine over on this end. The red wire instead jumps over here, goes through the switch before it continues on, which actually gives me insight into how this thing works, that no, it will not turn on without a basket in there making that contact, because if it did, then something would be wrong because of the fact that the circuit is interrupted when it's working properly. Would be interrupted, it wouldn't be closed. So therefore, yeah, I guess it is a safety feature. Even only the display will ever be on only if the basket is fully in there. So that's good to know. One of the joys of taking something apart is seeing things like that, but understanding why the switch is working the way it is a bigger question. Just the diagram of the switch with the normally open, normally closed contacts and the common. I mean, there's nothing special about this thing as to why I can understand it having a connection at all times. Yeah, bottom's coming in from the common. The number 2 prong, or number 3 prong, is normally open. Number 2 is also normally open, it says, but there's not a second one. That's an interesting design. Oop, I switched off of, oh no, that's not the right reading. Now it's actually getting a little bit higher of an impedance. There we go. Now it's not. Oh, you know what this might be? I just realized there could be circuitry on the board. No, that doesn't make any sense either. I don't know why it's working that way. Unless I can get this thing off, I can't test it without being connected to the rest of the circuit. Not that that should matter. Got it. There we go. Okay. Now it is not connected anymore. Let's see if we get different behavior. We do. Completely different behavior. Never mind. I was wrong. Though it took a little click for that thing to get going. I'm wondering if this is dirty. Just see if I can get this other side off too or not. There we go. Just douse that with some IPA and work the switch in. I can definitely hear some. Yeah, there's something in this switch that is. It's clicking in a funny way. Every push is not the same. You know, it is possible to open the switch up, it looks like. Let me free this switch. I know they're making nice tight connections because you really want them to make nice tight connections, but come on, this is ridiculous. There we go. Whew, okay. Let's see if we can open the switch up. It looks like there's a push tab here. Oh, interesting. Oh, interesting. The switch over here looks like it's slightly melted. It's got, I don't know if you can see that, it's got melted plastic on it. Get an angle where you can actually see it down here at the bottom. And I don't know, did they do that purposefully to seal the switch? Or is it because it was burning? That's a good question. Seeing the way that the switch is designed and put together, I actually think that that was intentional, now that I look at it, because there's no clips or anything that's holding this in. It seems like I put my spudger tool kind of around the seam all the way around, and what's holding it in is that. What's holding it together is that. So I don't know if this switch is actually going to be openable like I thought it was, without destroying it. There's definitely something that doesn't click the same every time, though. Sadly, I don't have any switches of this exact switch to replace it with. Ooh. Okay. So there's posts. I did get it to open up a little bit. I'm trying to open it up the rest of the way. There we go. There we go. Oh, part of it broke. It's okay, we can super glue that. But let's see how this thing works. So here's the switch. Yeah, see, look at that. Something is not working correctly in here. If I can see how it's freed up all the way up top now. And this would absolutely explain the problem I had. So notice right now, if I take my multimeter to it, trying to make sure I'm in shot. If I take my multimeter to it, there is nothing that is connecting this to this. And so let's just validate them together, make sure we're still on. So one to here and the other one here. Yeah, there is not a connection between these two. When you push the switch down, when you push the switch down, it drops this whole mechanism, and this will engage with this piece of metal, therefore completing a circuit from here all the way up and around and to here. And so when I do that, that is what completes this circuit, which is great, except for that time it worked. Like I said, it wasn't feel like this actually feels good. Look at that. It is now stuck in the closed position because of some of this plastic seems to have been melted in the way here. So it's holding it down when it shouldn't be. Now, the strange thing about that is it makes me question, why is it so intermittent then? Okay, I think I see the problem. So this is interesting. It's got a little bit more exciting than I thought. So notice this whole metal. How close can I get this? I'm going to zoom way in as far as I can zoom in. Okay, and hold my hand. This metal bar right here goes across, and that whole thing drops down to make the connection below. That's a nice solid connection right there. When I let it go and only half of it lifts up, it's getting a really intermittent connection. A very small portion of this is actually making the contact right here, and therefore it's probably not enough to pass current. Well, at least not safely. But notice as I keep hitting this switch and it eventually frees itself back up, then it works, which is probably why moving the basket in and out is jiggling the switch enough to make it free up, and then the next time you push it in, it's getting a solid contact on it. Though I would still think pushing it in like this is still going to work fine. Very interesting though. But also note this, what you can actually tell is on the side of the switch where it said the other contact was another normally open, or I think it says normally open, but it means normally closed, I'm sure. Let me relook at this thing. It's got to mean normally closed. Oh, it does say NC on it, very, very small. It looks kind of like an O when you look at it close, but it is normally closed circuit. So when the switch is in the open position, if they had built in the other contact right here that you could connect to, that one is always connected. And when you press the switch, it disconnects it, which is what makes it a normally closed, versus this one is supposed to be normally open. It's not, oh, sorry. This one is supposed to be normally open. It's not making the contact unless I push it down. So normally it's open, but when I use the switch, it's closed. So that's a little electronics lesson for you, but let's try to figure out why this is not freeing up. So I think this, the part of this thing that was slightly melted, again, it looks like it was supposed to do that. It broke off of the front. Ooh. Ooh, dropping pieces. Ugh. There we go. Okay, let's leave that to the side for now. It keeps bouncing up. I need to get this removed. It almost looks like it was glued in, and the glue is what's making that bonding piece out there. I'm not really sure, but I think it's also what's making it not work reliably. I can see a little bit of corrosion down on the bottom where the switch lands, and I think that might be what's causing the problem. It's not releasing. Is maybe it's heated up through use and gotten a little misshapen, a little corroded, and now it just keeps getting added to every time it gets used. You know what? Looking at it too, it actually doesn't necessarily look like it's a problem where I've been working that this is getting stuck down on the surface. It more looks like it's a problem with this small piece of it back here. It's kind of like bent in a way to force it to retract. And if it goes down far enough, it's not doing a good job of, this isn't doing a good enough job of pushing back up. I wonder if I just need to bend that a little bit to give it more force. But to do that, I think I have to take this whole thing apart. I don't quite know how to do that. Oh wait, here we go. It'll come out like this. So this bottom one looks like it can slide out. There we go. Oh my God. Well, let's hope I can figure this out now, because now I got a bunch of pieces in my hand. Well, how this went together, and therefore what needs to be bent back into place. So this goes here clearly. Yep, that goes there. And this piece was on the top, sitting within this dude. So this is the guy that makes the connection. Oh, I forgot the camera's moved. This is the guy that makes the connection over here to the clapper. Clapper. I don't know why I called it that, but sure, it's a clapper now. So this would have to go in, slide into here like this. I gotta go pull the footage from this. I gotta see what the switch looked like before I took it apart. Alright, so I did have to go back and rewatch the video to see exactly how this switch went back together, or just where all the pieces went. Get it to focus here. I did get it back together, as you can see. When I did that initially, it took some finagling, so it was really tough to actually jiggle all these things back into place where they go. It was still having a big issue when I pushed it up and down. It would still lock into place occasionally. I took this is the spring, this top piece right here seems to be the spring mechanism, and I was trying to bend it and manipulate it to give it more power, and it actually still was not, nothing I did would actually fix it. So what I did, and I don't suggest you do this at home, you know, if you want to play with a switch like I'm doing, I'm just doing this for more experimentation for myself to see how this thing works, to see if I can get it up and running again, knowing that this is the faulty piece. But I put a piece of spring from a pen. I cut a little bit piece out of it from a clicky pen, and I put it down there to help give it an extra little boost, which seems to work. It doesn't do too much, but it's there and just enough. And then also what I realized was there was a problem where you could actually push this switch down too far, and if you pushed it down really hard, it would rock this back up, and it was actually losing contact. And I actually think that was a big part of our problem, is the switch was being engaged too much, and it was lifting it back off of this contactor here, and I think that's why it was so intermittent. So what I did is I took two little pieces of, actually I cut some shrink wrap and just pushed them into a spot right here so it can't push down nearly as far. I figure shrink wrap goes on wires and stuff anyway, so it shouldn't have any negative effects in relation to the electricity that was in here. And again, like I said, I don't suggest that you do this at home, but I'm going to do this, see if this thing works, and see if this solves our issue. So now I need to take this and actually glue it back together. I don't probably need to glue it because there's going to be screws that hold it together, but I'm going to glue the top back onto this to keep it all in place. And I'm trying to be very careful so I don't like hit it and make the spring fly out again. So let me see if I can get this glued and put this back together. Actually, you know what? I don't need to glue it back together. It kind of snap fitted in there, and it sounds great. Clicky every time. So now let's start working on putting this thing back in. Let's see. It's in place. Right that. It's going to screw back in right here. Start these screws. And see, even if I didn't, even though I didn't glue it back together, even if this didn't snap back in like it was supposed to, these screws are going to hold the pieces together anyway. So that should be fine. Now that's back in. Let's make sure when I push this in, oh, there we go. Yep, that seems to be making solid contact. So now let's take this, snap that back on, and then let's get the lid. And all right, let's back it up and let's see. Everything fits, everything's back together. Everything looks great from that perspective. Let's get our basket. Put this in. Plug it in, which nothing should happen. But if I put this in, look at that. Wiggle it around. Perfect. I think we have solved the problem with the air fryer. So, is this a fix that you should do at home? Maybe if you want to, not the way I did it. If you're going to do it right and not buy a new air fryer and actually do the fix that I just did, you'd have to get the part number off that switch, order a new switch, replace it, which would probably be, you know, a couple bucks maybe to get that if you really wanted to do it. I had fun taking the switch apart and actually seeing how the mechanisms worked, sussing out how to put it back together and see where the issues actually were. I think I'm actually going to probably use this thing to cook something for dinner tonight just to make sure it works. But there you go. That was a trying to fix video that I was successfully able to accomplish. Pretty easily figured out, got it down to the switch, and didn't think I was going to have to do much except clean it, but it turned out it needed more than that. And so a couple modifications to the switch, and I think we're good as new. So, all right. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Just showing off real quick, use the air fryer to cook these fries. So this thing is working great.